There were 1,600 students in school. In the next year, there was 10% increase in the admission of girl students and 9% increase in the admission of boy students. There were 1,753 admission. How many girls were admitted? Now, let us consider that in the previous year, the total girl student was girls were X and total boy student were Y. Therefore, X plus Y is equal to 1,600. That is the equation number 1. In the next year, there were 10% increase in the admission for girls. Therefore, 1.1x and 9% increase for the boys. Therefore, 0.9y and total admission was 1753, and that is equation number 2. Now, equation number 1 we multiplied by 1.1 both sides. Therefore, 1.1x plus 1.1y is equal to 1600 multiplied by 1.1. That gives you 1760. And therefore, if you subtract, you will get minus 0.1y, and here you will get minus 7. Therefore, you will get y equal to 700, and then from equation number 1, x equal to 900. According to the equation now, that admission of the girls was 10% in the next year, more in the next year. Therefore, 900, 10 increment 10%, the 110 divided by 100 or 990. This much girls were admitted in the next year. Then therefore, you can say the option C is the correct option. Now, another thing you can see in this problem, without pen and paper you can solve. If you consider both boys and the girls of increment of 10% in the next year, then how much it is? 10% of 1,600 is how much? 160. Add it. You will get 1,760. But girl was 10%, but the boys was 9%. Therefore, boys 1% less what we are taking. Therefore, due to 1% less, you are getting 7 admission less. Therefore, 1% boys is equal to 7. Therefore, 100% boys is equal to 700. Therefore, and as boys you got 700, therefore girls is 900, and therefore 10% increment is equal to 990. Therefore, you can do it mentally also. In a test, 90% of the student passed in English, 80% passed in mathematics, 5% student failed in both English and mathematics, 225 students passed in both the subjects. How many students appeared in the test? In this, let us consider the total number of students appeared, total students equal to x, and that we will try to solve this problem with the set theory. Now consider set of students who passed in English will be represented by A, and set of students those have passed in mathematics will be represented by B, and intersection of these two is they have passed in the both the subject. Therefore, you can see A intersection B is given as 225. And another thing, that both the subject fail is 5%. Therefore, A union B is equal to at least one subject they have passed. That means total number of student failed in both the subject. Therefore, X into 5%, 0.05. Therefore, you are getting 0.95x. This is the 0.95x. That means 0.95x number of students passed at least in one subject. Therefore, what we get it here, A union B is equal to, we know, A plus B minus A intersection B. From that, how much is this? 0.95x. What is A? It is given 80. It is given as English. It is given as 90%. Therefore, you can say it is 0.9x, and mathematics is 80%. Therefore, 0.8x minus 225. And if you solve that, you will see that 1.7x minus 0.95x is equal to 225, and therefore you can see 0.75x is equal to 225. Therefore, x is equal to 225 divided by 0.75. Therefore, if you simplify that, you will get, therefore you can see that it is 75 and it is a 3 and 300. Therefore, total number of students who appeared in the test is equal to 300. Therefore, the option B is the correct option. Next problem is, there are 3 candidates and 12,000 registered voters in an election. 75% of the registered voters casted their votes, and out of these 10% were invalid votes. The candidates got 52%, 38% and 10% of the valid votes. How many valid votes were casted for the winners? Obviously, the winner is who got 52%. Therefore, how much he got? Therefore, we have to find it out. Therefore, total voter was 12,000. Out of that, only 75% casted. Therefore, only you can multiply it by 0.75. This much voters casted their vote. Out of that, 10% were invalid. Therefore, 90% were valid. Therefore, you have to multiply it by 0.9. And this multiplication together will give you the total valid votes. And out of the valid votes, the winner got 52%. Therefore, you can multiply it by 5.2. Therefore, this will give you the answer. Now, in a mentally you can do it. If you multiply 12 into 75, and this will give you 9,000. This will give you mentally, you can 9, and 9 into 9 is 89. Therefore, further it will give you 8,100. Therefore, 8,100 to be multiplied by 0.52. Therefore, this will give you 4212. Therefore, the option C is the correct option. The next problem is, a supplier of equipment quoted 6,500 plus 18% GST extra per unit. And a school authority purchased 10 such equipment from the supplier. What is the total amount paid by the school authority to the supplier? Therefore, you find the total cost of the equipment per unit. The total cost of the equipment is 6,500 and plus 18% GST. Plus 18% GST. Therefore, these you have to find 6,500 and 18% of GST. This is the part. This is the tax. And if you simplify, you will get that 7670. Therefore, per unit, this is the cost of per unit. Therefore, 10 are going to be purchased. Therefore, 7670 multiplied by 10. Therefore, 7670. Therefore, 76700, 76700. Therefore, A is the correct option. The next problem is the length of a rectangle is increased by 30% and breadth is decreased by 20%. The area of the triangle increased by how much percentage? Now, original area is equal to length into breadth. Now, after incremented by 30%, length incremented by 30%, and therefore length would become 1.3 in L multiplied by the breadth. Breadth has been decremented by 20%. Therefore, the breadth is now 80%. Therefore, 0.8 into B. If you multiply these two, you will get 1.04 L into B, and that is the original area. Therefore, original area multiplied by 1.04, that means it is incremented by 4%. Therefore, option A is the correct option. Next problem is P sells a computer 10% cheaper than Q and 20% costlier than R. Then what is the percentage that R sells the computer cheaper than Q? That means you have to find a relation between R and Q. Now, let's consider that Q sells at price X and R sells at price Y. Then P sells equal to 10% cheaper, that means 9.9 of X and 20% costlier than R, therefore 1.2 of Y. And these two, from these two you can get a relation between X and Y. Therefore, you can find Y equal to 0.9 divided by 1.2x, and that is equal to 9 by 12 and 3 by 4. Therefore, it is a 75 into x. Therefore, what this relation gives? This relation gives that price of Y, selling price of Y is equal to 0.75 of x. That means 75% of x. That means we can say selling price of R is equal to 75% selling price of Q, and therefore R sells 25% cheaper than the Q. Therefore, 25% cheaper than the Q, and therefore B is the correct option. The next problem is population of a village is 12,000. Every year population increases by 5%. What will be the population at the end of second year? Now this can be done exactly how we'll find the compound interest, and same formula will be using. Therefore, total population at the end of second year is equal to 12,000 multiplied by 1 plus, what is the rate of increment? It is 5%. Therefore 5 divided by 100, and how many years? After 2 years. Therefore this is, therefore 12,000 multiplied by 1.05 multiplied by 1.05, and that give you 13230, and therefore the total population will be 13,230. Therefore your option D is the correct option. The next problem is the present value of a television is rupees 45,000. It depreciates at the rate of 10% per annum. And what will be the value of television after 3 years? Exactly like previous problem, but it is a case of depreciations. Therefore, value of the television, of the TV at the end of 3 years is equal to, what is the rate? 45,000, and what is the rate now? It is 10%. Now it is a negative. It is because it is a depreciations. Now that is 100, and after 3 years you are finding, therefore 3. Therefore if you simplify it, 45,000 multiplied by 0.9, 0.9 and 0.9, and therefore you will multiply, you will get 32,805. Therefore your option B is the correct option. Next question is, in a 180 liters of water and milk mixture, percentage of water is 25%. Further, 5 liters of water and 65 liters of milk are added to the mixture. What is the percentage in the mixture after addition of water and milk? Now you can see that in that, at the beginning there was 180 liters. Therefore water in that 180 liters is how much? 180 multiplied by 25 into divided by 100, that is give you 45 liters. And how much is the milk in that? The milk is equal to 180 minus 45 is equal to 135 liters. And after addition, how much is the water after additions? Water will become 45 plus 5 is equal to 50. And what will be the milk? Milk after addition, 135 already existing and 65 liter was added. Therefore 200. How much is the total after? Total is 250, both water and milk. What is the percentage of water in that? 50 divided by 250 into 100, and therefore how much is this? This is 20%, because here if you, this is 2, that is 5, and again it cancelled, again 10, therefore 20%. Therefore here option A, option B is the correct option. The next question is, a retailer sold a mobile phone for rupees 5040 after giving 10% discount on MRP, made a profit of 20% on the cost price. What would have been the percentage of profit if he had not given the discount? Now the first thing is that your selling price is selling price is 5040, which is 90% of MRP. Therefore, from here we can find MRP, that means maximum retail price, is equal to 5040 divided by 0.9, and that give you 5600. Therefore, we found the MRP value. Now again, selling price 5040 is equal to 120% of cost price, because it made a profit of 20%. From that, we can find cost price is equal to 5040 divided by 1.2. That give you 4200 rupees. Therefore, we found both maximum retail price also, cost price also. Now our intention is to find out that if there is no discount, that means you will be selling at MRP value. That means you will be selling at 5600 rupees. Therefore, 5600 is how much percentage of cost price? Therefore, if we take that 4200, which is the cost price, is equal to, implies to 100%. Therefore, 5600 is how much percentage? That means 100 divided by 4200 multiplied by 5600. And if you simplify it, you will get it 133.33%. Therefore, selling price would be 133%.33. Therefore, there will be profit of 33.33%. Therefore, your option C is the correct option.